In the first few chapters of the novel, Grendel rises up through the water out of his cave to explore the forest around him. This exposition gives us some background information as to Grendel's life before he encountered the Danes. He toys with the organisms that he sees, breaking tree trunks and punching around a couple of sheep. His scorn only increases as he sees the monotonous proceedings of the natural world, and in an attempt to create meaning out of nothing, he turns violent. However, as Grendel meanders through the forest, he eventually becomes aware of his isolation. Without anybody to share his feelings with, he resigns himself to his unfortunate existence. One day, in the forest, Grendel comes across the Sildings. His initial greeting, however, is met with hostility, and he is forced to flee. Upon this, Grendel's scorn for the world turns to anger and hatred, for the humans were the ones who threw the metaphorical first punch. By blurring the lines between the traditional monster and the heroic warrior, Gardner prompts us to ponder which monsters we have created as a result of our actions. As time goes on, Grendel continues living and the Sildings build up their kingdom. During one of his routine patrols of the forest, Grendel is astounded to see King Hrothgar's figurative Mona Lisa, the Great Mead Hall. The Mead Hall is the center of Danish activity, representing all of the qualities that Hrothgar holds so dear: strength, loyalty, and heroism. Hrothgar builds the hall as the emblem of his kingdom, but Grendel quickly discovers how this great architectural feat came to fruition. Grendel witnesses the wars that give Hrothgar his power. Hrothgar, as you see here, is the Minecraft illusioner character to reference his despicable use of the Shaper to paint false stories of heroism in order to generate support for these battles. Grendel can do nothing more than stare in awe as he witnesses the carnage that different kingdoms inflict upon each other in the name of allegiance. The two groups you see fighting are the Pillager and Villager, who are actually incredibly similar in appearance and manner within the game. During the gruesome attack, the illusioner stays back and watches his plan unfold. This ironic conflict parallels the unreasonable wars that take place in Grendel, where two groups with no inherent qualms take up arms under Hrothgar's orders. Gardner highlights the monstrosity of the Danes, and by extension humans, in comparison to Grendel. In the face of this violence, Grendel cannot be considered the villain of the story. Enraged by the hypocrisy of the humans, Grendel decides to wreak havoc upon Hrothgar's kingdom. As he invades the mead hall and kills its residents, he sees the inexplicable mannerisms of the humans and is left wondering why. He simply cannot provide a reason for the humans' actions. From the expensive molding to the organized gardens, Grendel can't sort out his feelings. As he spends more and more time in close interaction with the kingdom, Grendel becomes more and more invested in its destruction. It begins to define him. An important scene is Grendel's encounter with the dragon. In Minecraft, conquering a powerful dragon is the goal. It is what gives the game meaning. However, nobody really asks why the dragon needs to be conquered. In Grendel, the successful dragon poses that very question. Why try? Just as how the dragon flies through walls in this clip, the dragon's nihilism flies in and out of Grendel's head, serving as a source of internal conflict. The words of the dragon give Grendel new life, making him invincible against the Sildings' best warriors. With these new powers, Grendel assumes his role as the bane of Hrothgar's kingdom. As he launches more and more attacks, the reader cannot help but feel a bit of sympathy for the fallen Danes. Gardner brushes off these concerns by reminding us of the inhumanity of the Sildings. From the perspective of a jailed prisoner of war, or even a pig raised for slaughter, Grendel is the Messiah. Gardner blurs the line between the hero and the monster once again. As the story goes on, Grendel becomes more observant and begins to notice Hrothgar's internal dilemmas. In the presence of Wealhtheow and other warriors, Hrothgar is weak, restless, and insecure. Grendel can't help but see a little bit of himself in this image. It becomes clear that Grendel and Hrothgar are two sides of the same coin, both spinning and spreading their respective theories about the world in order to survive. In the game, Grendel exits first-person mode for this first glance at himself, and he realizes his similarity to Hrothgar. Grendel and Hrothgar depend on each other, no matter who we consider the monster and who the hero. Finally, we come to Grendel's legendary bout with Beowulf. Grendel's world is turned upside down as he is swiftly defeated by Beowulf's hands, but more so by his words. However, in Minecraft, when the player dies, they may simply respawn, bringing them back to where they originally began so they may do it all over again. This elucidates the cyclical nature of the problem. The story of Grendel is not an isolated incident. It points to a long-standing question. What is a hero, and what is a monster?